Hey everybody, this is Joseph Basic and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to WrestleMania 41 Night 2 preview with Zania from Zania Did That. You're going to find out what she did right now as we preview Night 2 of WrestleMania 41. I can't believe you're ready for Night 2. Aren't you tired? Night 1 was off the charts.
I'm always tired. My Mania week started Wednesday night. So you can only imagine.
It's, by the way, WrestleMania is at 41's in Vegas. Now, if you go to Philadelphia, if you go to Toronto, if you go to New York, it's pricey. But if you go to Vegas, it's like 3 times the price. First of all,
Or you could gamble and win all your money back that you spent on your
are you
Mania
okay?
ticket.
So that's what you're doing in your spare time of 3 minutes over the weekend, gambling.
Honestly, I've been to Vegas many times. At this point, I go every year because it's either Mania or SummerSlam or Double or Nothing AEW, right? And I've been so many times and I haven't gambled once. I think I've only gambled once. That was the very first time that I went. And that's it. I'm not a gambler, though I do love Vegas a lot. I like the food, I like the party atmosphere, the bars, but not the gambling.
And by the way, you mentioned AEW. It's funny that this year, of all years, they move from Vegas to Phoenix for the show May 25th. So it's interesting to see what Matt and his brother are talking about because never mind. This is WWE. All right, Night 2. Are you ready? Here we
I'm
go.
ready. I was born ready.
And that's it. You're always ready, Matt
Always.
Cardona. All right, Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a street fight. Drew McIntyre may have the patch on, may not. This is a rematch of WrestleMania 40 of last year. But my question is, for me, it's a toss-up. I don't know where they go here. Do they give it to Drew? Do they give it to Priest? Is it a no disqualification count out? It can't be because it's a street fight. Where do they go?
I honestly agree. It could be anyone's game. I do love to see a street fight at WrestleMania. I hope they go hard. And you know how sometimes we'll say, oh, I just hope both wrestlers have fun. This is the case of I hope both wrestlers go freaking hard and murder each other. I want to
Well,
see what they're made of.
it's interesting to see because Vegas, they have the Al Davis fire there. Are they going to use the light stand?
Oof.
It's interesting to see. But like I said, for me, it's a toss-up. Now, the next match, I have different opinion on this. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Logan Paul has been great, okay? But
He
this
has
is
been.
AJ
Yeah.
freaking Styles. He did a cinematic match a few years ago against The Undertaker. He only has a few WrestleManias left. Give him the ball also. He's still a top 10 wrestler in the world. What do you say?
He definitely is. AJ Styles is a legend. He's very underrated, which again, he is a star, but he still is very underrated. Again, one of the best wrestlers in the world. But also when it comes to Logan Paul, like you can like him or hate him or think he's a questionable human, which I'm sure he could be. He is, and his views can be questionable, but you cannot argue with how amazingly he's been doing in wrestling. In the short time that he's been doing this, and obviously there are going to be some gaps. Obviously, he's not going to understand maybe in-ring psychology the same way that 20-year veterans do, which is only fair and only understandable. But the way that has been working so hard on his in-ring, on his mic skills, on working with the crowd, he's just been amazing. He's just been so good, and it can't be overlooked. So I'm excited for this match. I'm excited to see how that dynamic is going to work out. A wrestling veteran, someone who lives and breathes the mat, as opposed to someone who's just so freshly in the ring but has been growing at an unmatched pace. I'm very excited to see that, but I'm definitely team AJ Styles. And like you said, he deserves to have that spotlight. And we don't know how many, again, yeah, like you said, WrestleManias he has left in his career. Hopefully many, hopefully 40 more. But I'd like to see that moment for him while he's still in his prime.
All right, we got the Women's Tag Team Championship on the line. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bailey and Lara Valkyria. I have a sneaky feeling, Xenia, they were hinting at this 3-4 weeks ago of Bailey possibly turning, and now they're best friends. And Bailey has said she has never won the Intercontinental Ladies title. Could we see
Mhm.
a turn by Bailey at WrestleMania?
I think we definitely could. And, facing Liv and Raquel have been so dominant and who have been working really well as a tag team. And another thing that I'm, for some reason, a big fan of is this dynamic of this like annoying, cowardly-ish heel and their security guard or their like significantly larger protege. I don't know why I'm such a big fan of that trope. I really love it. So I'm gonna be rooting for them. But yeah, there's definitely something. There's definitely stones in that stream, when it comes to Bailey and her intentions going into this match.
All right, women's title on the line, three-way dance, another three-way dance. Io Sky, who's been fantastic. Rhea Ripley, who I have to say has been fantastic, or she'll break my neck. And Bianca Belair, no WrestleMania without EST. Who are you calling this one?
Rhea Ripley, 1,000%. And not even from just a wrestling standpoint, but also from a pop culture standpoint. She's been a phenomenon. She's been the face of wrestling in the mainstream media. Literally, if you tell someone that you like wrestling, or if you meet someone and tell them that you do wrestling things, the first person they will mention to you is Rhea Ripley. It's not John Cena anymore. It's not The Rock anymore. It's Rhea Ripley. She's literally the next The Rock and John Cena. She is it. She is the face of the industry. So she can't lose that momentum right now. And, she was at UFC. She's at all the press conferences. She's at all the red carpets. And her husband is also one of the best wrestlers in the world, just saying. So, yeah, definitely Rhea Ripley, not even a question about it in my mind.
And that, by the way, that's Buddy Roberts there. Maybe he should come to WWE. But this is probably the show stealer of both nights. Intercontinental Championship, Braun Breaker, Dominic Mysterio, Penta,
Yes.
Finn Balor.
Yes.
They should give this guys 20, 25, half an hour. What do you say?
That is unironically the match that I'm the most looking forward to. Out of two cards, out of the two Mania days, nights, 18 hours, whatever it is, that's the match that's the most exciting to me. Is it because I have a strange inclination for mid-carders? Possibly, but also it's a very, very stacked lineup. And, I'm a huge fan of Pentagon. He is one of my favorite wrestlers. That's me saying that for the 20th time. But he's incredible. And the way that he's been presented to WWE has been an absolute superstar status. And I really want to see him get more wins, get more, accolades, and build that, and maybe into the main event picture. And I just really, really want to see that. So I'm Team Cero Miedo through and through all the way. But I'm very excited to see that match. I know it's going to be something.
Que tenga buena suerte, Penta. But you know what? I'm going to say this right now. How apropos will it be if Dominic Mysterio wins? Braun Breaker, I'm telling you, going to be a main eventer next year. Finn Balor off the charts, all right? And all that. Dominic, okay? What am I going to say about Dominic? And, Penta's amazing, but I just have a sneaky feeling it's Dominic winning, and then that throws out Finn Balor from the Judgment Day, because there's Judgment Day, and then could Dominic for the match help out Finn Balor, but at the end pin Finn Balor to win. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all.
If you ask me who I want to win after Penta, my second pick would be Braun Breaker, because again, like you said, he is a superstar in the making. Yeah. There's something about him that's just, all eyes are glued to him the second he steps into the ring, and it's amazing to see. So that would be my second pick. But you're definitely making sense, and I hate that.
See, and I'm going to make more sense here. Before we talk about the second night main event, I got WrestleMania. There's always mystery. There's always comebacks. There's always new stars coming in. What do you like to see? Who do you think shows up? And I'm purposely not saying this because The Rock, we're in the main event. The Rock has to show up and all that. So, and it's interesting enough that there's no mention of The Rock. He did not show up on Raw, SmackDown and all that. I have a sneaky feeling he's just good. It's Vegas. It's The Rock. He's going, and he's the chairman of the board now. So, I'm going to spoil it again. Okay, since I already did, that's going to happen. What I told you. Okay, Intercontinental title. That's going to happen. I spoiled one. Now I'm going to say Cody Rhodes may win, but then you hear The Rock's music, restarting the match with a new, I don't know what you want to say, corporation or whatever, bringing in nobody knows from Fatu, but it's from the Fatu industry, that's factory, let's call it that. And John Cena with him, Paul Heyman, and Seth Rollins at the end of WrestleMania, night 2. Night 1, I mentioned, could be Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, the wise man. Night 2, The Rock leading John Cena with his 17th victory, world title victory. And you could see Cody Rhodes down. Maybe somebody like Sami Zayn tries to save Cody Rhodes or somebody else, because we haven't seen. And we got to say this because I'm Canadian, eh? Kevin Owens. What a shame. A guy, a wrestler who gives it his all. And that match, people were looking forward to Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. And let's face it, if we haven't announced who Randy Orton's going to face, is he going to face somebody? What's going on? There's going to be a surprise there and all that. And I'll just give it. You're a lady, and I know you know this lady, but I hear, again, little birdies. When I say little birdies, it means some wrestlers who tell me stuff. All right? And Mariah May is in. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes.
If she doesn't show
if
up.
she faces Randy Orton?
No, not now. I wish
Hopefully.
that. But maybe Nia Jax again, Randy Orton. But I wouldn't be surprised. I'm giving a scoop here. As you know, John Cena probably will win the title. John Cena's 17th title. By the end, it's December. They're making a special here. They're making a special Premier Live event in Boston in December as John Cena concludes his career. Ruthless Aggression is going to be called. The Premier Live event going to be called Ruthless Aggression. And I'll even go more. Kurt Angle may be his last opponent. That's all I'm going to say there. But again, the main event, what do you expect?
It's a vision. I don't even know what to say to that. Sure, I guess
when I'm right,
everything you just said.
officially sign your fired up femme contract, okay? Because they talk about Paul Heyman and all these guys signing contracts. We got to sign. You got almost 500,000 followers. I got to get you to 1 million followers. Then people will be knocking at your door, like my good friend Aaron Stevens. Hello to Aaron Stevens. All right. So who? and the cat, we had the cat on.
Maybe he comes back at WrestleMania.
No, well, he announced to the world that he will be at WrestleMania, but he also announced to the world that he's going to drink some wobbly pops. That's all I'm saying. And I'm going to I'm giving all the scoops here. I'm going to give you. I'm telling you, okay. Tom Brady will be at WrestleMania. And I'm going to say this. Another guy who will fight maybe for like 32 seconds is your favorite guy, Pat McAfee.
Yes. Is my favorite guy. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that, but I don't know when I said that. But sure, yeah, my favorite guy, Pat McAfee.
All right, so who do you call?
Who else I would really like to see at WrestleMania and possibly face Randy Orton? And I've also seen birdies chirping about it.
I would see the same birdies I see.
Maybe different birdies. I don't know. We're in different places. I'm in Florida. Okay. You're in Canada, so maybe they're different birdies. But I've definitely seen some chirping about Jeff Cobb at WrestleMania, and I would absolutely love to see that.
I just gave that away. Now I said The Rock's going to form a team with Jeff Cobb, or I didn't say Jeff Cobb, but it's going to be Jeff Cobb and a new Uso, and I think which Uso I'm talking about. All right. He has signed with the WWE for like at least a year. Okay. He has signed and he hasn't shown up. I'm not going to say the name, but I would suspect that to happen either at WrestleMania or also the next night, the Raw after Mania, which arguably is the best Raw period of all.
Of the year. Yeah.
Jeff, I like to see instantly first match. Jeff Cobb, AJ Styles, Jeff Cobb, Penta, Jeff Cobb, has all right, again, arguably top 10 wrestler. And if they sign Mariah May, which I think they will, WWE, it's we'll close it out. I know it's WrestleMania, but AEW, is there still like the thing? Oh my God, AEW is amazing, or what? Even Jericho left now.
Jericho left. He didn't leave. He went for a tour with his band, and he's done that a couple times in the AEW's lifespan.
But do you know that?
And even if he does leave, AEW would be just fine without him. He was essential to kickstart it to get off the ground, but now there's so many homegrown stars and people whose careers have flourished in AEW even after they'd been to WWE or New Japan or AAA or wherever it is, that he's not an essential structure to AEW anymore, with all due respect to him and his legend status and his
accolades. So I'm going to ask you one final question. For WrestleMania, we did but one final question. There have been rumors, even Tony Khan suggested, that AEW streaming on Max gets 500,000 like a week or a show or whatever. Now, do you and you've been to AEW? You've been to AEW shows, and some shows are packed, and some shows I had more people at my bar mitzvah. All right, so like, look, okay, so that's the truth. Okay, what do you believe? Do you believe that nobody goes to the show, but they're watching it on streaming?
For sure. It's not everyone that's going to travel the country to go to shows the same way that I do.
Yeah, but 500,000?
Yeah. Sorry?
But 500,000, averaging around 500,000 a show?
I honestly don't know. Like, the last reports that I saw was that those ratings are not revealed to anyone, and we don't have an exact number. And I'm not a big fan of guessing. Yeah. So I don't think we should be commenting on numbers that are possibly made up. So we don't know, but I don't know. It could be anything. It's, people watch it in different ways. People in Europe watch it on Thriller. When I'm in Europe, I watch it on Thriller, so that's another number to add. Some people watch highlights on YouTube. Some people watch it on TV. It's a whole thing. And until we have the numbers, it's just counterproductive to speculate, I think.
And AEW, by the way, we're on AEW now, but AEW just announced Forbidden Door coming to London August 24th. Well, Will Ospreay is on the cover there. And final question with Xenia here. Final question. You mentioned Jericho and all that. What's one guy? No, okay, I mentioned, but we talked about Jericho. But what's one guy that they can't afford to lose? In my opinion, they couldn't afford to lose Mariah May, and they're going to lose her, right? And
I think honestly, I think Mariah May is brilliant. But I think a lot of her brilliance has been brought out by Tony specifically.
Yeah.
So we're yet to see what Mariah May is like in a high-profile feud where she's not supported by that behemoth and that enormous talent that Tony is. So if there's anyone that AEW can't afford to lose, it's Tony. But then, at the end of the day, not to sound like a mean, heartless witch, but everyone is replaceable. And that's not to say that they don't hold value. Like, I personally, I think wrestlers are some of the most talented people in the world. Like, I think it takes so much. It takes physicality, it takes acting, it takes psychology, it takes so much. And I'm just in awe of so many wrestlers, again, of all different calibers, from freaking Randy Orton to Tony Storm to indie wrestlers here locally in Florida. But ultimately, wrestling company promotion is fluid. The stories are fluid. The main event picture is fluid. So we thought AEW couldn't afford to lose Cody. Well, look at AEW now. It's arguably better. Not because he left, but just because it's evolved since he's left. And I'm sure it would have been better if he stayed too. So it's just ultimately, it's not about one specific wrestler. It's about a combination of talents. It's about the writers. It's about the production. It's about the booking. Like, it's not really about, oh, they lose this one person, suddenly the house of cards falls apart. That's just not how wrestling works.
No, that's Swerve Strickland. But hold on. Right now on the phone, because she's listening to what it's Mercedes Monet. She says she's the CEO and she's in it for the Monet. All right. So some people are in it for the Monet. We're talking about cash.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And ultimately, I think, again, as someone who works with wrestlers and with promotions, it helps them monetize their presence and get more money, right? I think it is important to have that money goal in mind, because a lot of the people that I come across who say that I don't do this for money, it doesn't matter to me. But then what are your goals? But then what is the monetary equivalent of what is success to you? Why are you trying to be successful? I think, if anything, wanting to be rich, wanting to become successful, wanting to reach the top is amazing fuel to have as a performer. And ultimately, people who do have that in mind are more successful than people who aren't in it for the money. So again, absolutely nothing wrong with that. If anything, if anyone needs advice, I would recommend actually having that in mind and actually having that monetary goal in mind.
So this is called a segue, because when we talk about money, there's no better reason why not to check your Monday webinar where you
Yes.
talk about money, where you talk about promotion, while you're helping out the guys there. My question, and I didn't do it in the last show because this is the last show we're doing. My question is, why are you going to branch out from wrestling to football to hockey to soccer to bowling to mud wrestling? Mud wrestling, there's big money to be made, okay? But are you going to branch out, because you're killing the game? And with all due respect,
Thank you.
you're
Thank you.
killing the game with wrestling, and anything I could do to help out, I got your back. But also hockey, you're Russian, Russian,
I am.
football, Spanish,
Yeah, I'm 1,000% open to anything and everything. And like you said, every Monday, 2 p.m. ET, I have my free webinars. You can check out my socials, click the link, register for one, or just DM me. And everything that I say there is 1,000% applicable to any other sport, is 1,000% applicable to any other entertainment industry. It's all translatable from one to the other, because ultimately this is an entertainment business, entertainment industry. And it works this way in any other industry, not just here. And I have had clients outside of wrestling before, and I am open to having clients outside of wrestling and working with companies outside of wrestling. UFC has been really taking off with the collaboration with WWE, and I'm personally a big soccer fan. I am slowly immersing myself in football
who's
since I've
your
been spending
who's
more
your
time
team
in
in
America.
soccer?
Barcelona, that's my team.
Yeah. But I thought you're not going to see Romania. Come on, me and you have something in common. I thought
I
I'm
mean,
going to call your dad. I'm gonna call your dad.
let
She
me
said
defend
Barcelona.
myself.
Come on.
I partially grew up in Spain and I still live in Spain part time. And this is where I fell in love with soccer or football. We call it football. We're European, right?
Yeah.
And this is where I got to see matches live and where I got to really absorb that culture. And where we live in Spain is somewhat close to Barcelona. Our actual home team is Mallorca,
Mallorca.
which I also support, and I also go to games. But like my team is Barcelona. We're like by plane it's 30 minutes, by ferry it's a couple hours, but we're close to Barcelona, and it's a close culture to me as well. I have a lot of friends in Barcelona, and I've worked with wrestling promotions in Barcelona as well. And I've just been that's the scene, I guess, that I've been more immersed in. I've never been to a football match in Romania, so can't tell you about the Romanian clubs really.
All right. Final question. It's a question from a viewer. Okay. Who and the viewer name is Jim Richardson, and Jim wants to know who is Xenia's favorite wrestler in the WWE and in AEW. And for that matter, he says if you say NWA or TNA or whatever. So if you want to give the four major wrestling promotions, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Do I have to pick one for each one?
All right, I'll give you a tag team. Two, one lady and one
Okay.
man. Okay, there you go.
Okay. 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 So let's start with WWE since we're talking about WWE. Um, Again, historically, I would say The Miz, but now that Pentagon is in WWE, I don't know.
So, do you
Might
like
have to be
Penta
him.
or do you like Ray Phoenix?
I like Pentagon better personally, but also you can't argue with Pentagon himself when he says Ray Phoenix is the best wrestler in the world. So I guess it kind of comes as a package, but I'm personally a fan of Pentagon more so. But yeah, I guess, honorary mention The Miz, but the actual pick would be Pentagon. In terms of the women, I think I have to go with Jordan Grace because, she signed with WWE, now it's official, and I've been following her career for many years now, and it's been amazing to see her growth and her improvement and her matches and her physique and everything. So yeah, I think I have to pick her, honestly.
Okay.
AW.
Yeah.
Are we talking like the full complex of
I
AWRH
don't
or?
know. That's not my question. So,
Okay. I'm gonna do RH separately then.
yeah,
So if we're talking AW, the male would be Trent. Obviously, we've talked about it. It's my obscure favorite, but he's literally one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So you know, and the woman would be Toni Storm because she's incredible and she's one of the
she's
best wrestlers in the
timeless.
world right now. She's timeless. Yeah, exactly. But when we're talking ROH, the woman would be Taya Valkyrie, who's another favorite wrestler person of mine.
Canadian.
Um, yeah, Canadian with a Mexican training background, so that's
Yeah.
incredible for me. Um, and the man, maybe let's say Matt Taven. I really like his tag team performance, but also his singles and his comedy shtick that he's been doing on the indies has been great. So definitely another favorite. Okay.
Let's go to NXT.
TNA.
NXT and TNA. Then.
NXT.
Yeah.
NXT. Uh, mhm. Which one should I start with? Let's start with TNA actually. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I can say her because she's only been featured sporadically, but Renee Michelle, I've been a big fan for a
Yeah.
long time. And I don't think she's signed to a permanent contract with
No,
TNA, but she's been featured here and there. And I just have to say her because I just love her so much. And she's, it's again, everything about her. She's just captivating. Like the way she presents herself, you can't take your eyes off of her. I really love her.
yeah,
And the man would have to be. Oh, why am I confused? I didn't realize he's signed to TNA officially. Why am I even thinking Nick Nemeth? Obviously, that's my guy. That's the goat. That's the best of
I
all
heard.
time.
I
Of
heard you
course.
like better his brother.
That is not true. I do like Ryan a lot. Let's just say that I like them equally. But I am picking Nick for this.
All right.
No, Ryan is awesome. Ryan is awesome in his own right, and he's not just Nick Nemeth's brother. Like he's the driving force behind the comedy project, and he's one of the very few male pro feminists that I've met that
Yeah.
actually have their head in the right place, which is incredible. So I'm a big fan of Ryan, big supporter. So definitely he's great, and I would pick him if Nick wasn't that promotion.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say NXT unless you want to, but
I mean,
tell
we
me.
can do NXT because I do want to
Okay.
shout out Axiom.
Okay. Go.
Uh,
Go.
so he'll be the guy because like I said,
You don't like Nathan Frazier?
I mean, I like
Okay.
everyone.
Next.
Let's,
Next question.
let's be diplomatic about it. But I do want to shout out Axiom because he's, I think, one of like the two wrestlers that have come out of the Spanish training system, or three actually,
Yeah.
who have made it on the international scene, and the other two being Tosaya, who's I'm sure is just in the beginning of his journey, and he's absolutely incredible, and Carlos Romo, who's a very good personal friend of mine and an extremely talented person. He does music, he does wrestling, he does producing, he does sound work, he does all of it. He's amazing. But Axiom having come out of the Spanish training
Yeah.
system
Yeah.
is just such an accomplishment for the Spanish wrestling scene, and it's just such a pride for anyone has to do with the Spanish wrestling scene. So I do want to shout him out. And we've been talking a lot about Jakar and Lash Legend, and they haven't been called up yet officially, I don't think, right? So let me just pack them into a tag team and give you that as the answer because I have been following them somewhat, and I just think the vibe that they bring is super cool. And like I said, as a tall girl, I'm always a supporter of fellow tall girls, so that's something that they love to see in wrestling. Like you would think, right, a sport this physical would have more body type diversity, would have more tall women, more jacked women, more curvy women. We're still kind of on our way to that point where it's so diverse, but I love to see a fellow tall girl. So definitely them. Yeah, and WA, that's another no-brainer. The women's would be Natalia Markova because that's a similar sentiment for me as it is with the Spanish scene because she is, I think, the only wrestler to come out of the Russian training
Yes.
system and actually make it in the United States. And by the way, she's absolutely incredible. Like the way that she minds her physique and her conditioning and her training is incredible. Like if you look at her build, like that is the ultimate form a human can possibly reach. I have no idea. Like I can't even imagine how hard she works. It's crazy, but she's incredible, and she's another like pride and joy, of any Russian in wrestling, of any Slavic person in wrestling. Because fun fact, she was actually technically the first ever women's wrestler in Russia ever. That's
Yeah.
how young the wrestling scene in Russia is. It's crazy. So it's amazing to see her. And the male would be our friend Aaron Stevens, of course.
Kissing up. Never mind. But that's
No, hey, I've liked him ever since WWE, so I'm not trying to twist the narrative here.
he's a Rhodes Scholar. All right. Tell everybody how they could get a hold of you once again, and everybody enjoy WrestleMania night 1, night 2. It's going to be the greatest WrestleMania. They always say that, so I'm going to
They
say
always
it.
say that. Every year is the greatest one.
But this year it's the greatest one because there's going to be some showgirls. It's Vegas. I've seen the stage. Did you see the stage yet?
I saw some pictures of like the construction. It's looking huge. Yeah.
But it's like a casino. You're coming out of a casino, so
Love that.
you could see the guys. If they're in a sad, they already lost their money in the casino. Now they got to go wrestle. All right. So, but no, it's going to be off the
And they have
charts.
to make the money back.
That's right. And don't forget WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans. All right. So we already know where it's going to be in New Orleans, and WWE is going to go around the world. They have a Premier Live event in France also. And don't forget, I mentioned Passover, but Goldberg is still talking to Triple H about having one match, and he wants to have it in Israel. So that's interesting if WWE goes to Israel and has a Premier Live event as well. But I digress. Xenia, tell everybody how they could get a hold of you on social media. And don't forget, Mondays, 2 o'clock, check it up, the webinar. Some famous wrestlers are on there. I sneak peeked who's on there, so I won't say it, but some wrestlers are even there, so no reason why you shouldn't go.
I mean, it's a webinar for wrestlers, so it's only fair that wrestlers are there. But it's not just for
You didn't
wrestlers.
tell me he's on it. You didn't tell me this guy's on it. Like I was surprised. Actually, I did, and like I was in his DM. Never mind. Okay, so tell everybody.
Yeah, it's not just for wrestlers, it's for any kind of wrestling professionals. So that encapsulates wrestlers, promoters, broadcasters, creators of any kind. So if you're working in any capacity in wrestling, it could be useful for you. This is every Monday, 2 p.m. ET. Take a look at my socials, click the link in bio or DM me. I'm Xenia did that. That's XENIA on all social media, Instagram, Twitter or X, YouTube. My merch is on Pro Wrestling Tees and Teespring. You can look it up, type in Xenia did that as well. And yeah, if you're a wrestler or promoter looking to scale your business, get more income, capture your correct target audience, reach out to me, click the link in my bio or DM me or email me, and let's talk about it and let's lift up your business to superstardom.
Hey, I got a thought about merchandise. Instead of Xenia did that, Xenia is fired up. There you go.
I love that. Heck yeah.
But yeah, go get and get me some shirts. They're making like really nice and all that. But everybody enjoy WrestleMania, and Xenia, hopefully we'll have you back next week to discuss your experiences in Vegas. And I don't want it. You're on TV now worldwide. I don't want it to be like whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No. Whatever happens in Vegas. That's right. And the more fired up it is, the better, because we're the Fired Up Network. We're also female empowerment movement. Enjoy WrestleMania, everybody. And thank you, Xenia.
Thank you so much for having me.